What's going on, guys? Sean here. In this video I'll be reviewing the Demko AD20.5. This one is featuring the CPM 3V shark foot blade, which is just another term or Demko's name for their Warncliffe blade. And in this video we're going to be finding out if this CPM 3V blade is really an upgrade over the standard AUS 10A, and if we can actually notice any benefits in real life use. So I've been using this knife for a good while now, at least probably the majority of the year, if not the entire year of 2023 so far. I've sharpened this several times, tried out different edges on it, different grits, different angles. So I have a good idea of what feels good to me with this blade steel. And my favorite so far is like a semi-polished edge. I like using the Veneve resin bonded diamond stones, and F400 it seems to be the sweet spot for me and my cutting tasks. And then like a 3 micron gunny juice on basswood or kangaroo will do plenty of justice for this. I didn't notice really any benefit to doing a lower grit finish or a higher grit finish. So you know, your results may vary, but I can only speak on what I experienced for myself firsthand. So anyways, let's get into it. Alrighty guys, so first off, I have some phone book paper right here. We are going to test to see if this is sharp. Give you a nice look at the edge that is currently wearing. This is some thicker paper. One thing that's a little bit annoying is where the plunge grind is on this. Material likes to get caught in that kind of like choil area right there. I sharpened the edge, you know, all the way back to the plunge grind, so have the most cutting edge possible for this blade. But you know, material still likes to get caught up right there. That's kind of annoying. But besides that, it's a very useful utility style blade shape, and it does a pretty good job. Alright guys, so we are going to test out the toughness of this CPM 3V. This blade steel is held in high regard as being a very tough steel. That means we should have good impact resistance, impact toughness, edge stability. It should have good resistance to rolling and chipping. So we're going to start off with something kind of light medium duty as far as toughness goes, that this should have no problem whatsoever handling, and then proceed to try and cut the phone book paper again and see what kind of effect it has on the sharpness of the edge, if any. Hopefully it doesn't have any effect on it, or at least any significant effect, but you know, this is real world, real life use and real life testing, and sometimes you find that just because a blade steel is labeled as a super steel doesn't necessarily mean that it has a lot of super qualities to it. So sorry I'm compulsively flicking this, but yeah, let's get straight to it. So first up, I have some hardwood right here. Not sure what kind of wood this is, but it is very hard. Yeah, that's all I can tell you. I'm not an expert on different types of wood, but I'm gonna you know, kind of carve into this a little bit. We'll go ahead and try to slice the paper, and then I will do some impacting. I guess batoning is the term for it, and see if that has any effect as far as being able to cut the phone book paper cleanly. So let's see what it does. All right, let's go ahead and see if we have any negative effects. Sorry, I have it zoomed in still. Little hang up. All right, guys, so far we have very little effect, if any, on the edge of this. Now we're going to step it up to some batoning, and we'll see what happens. Creating a big ass mess. But in the name of science, I'm willing to do that for you guys. Alrighty, so I'm gonna clean up this blade. This seems to be leaving a little bit of a sticky residue, one like a sappy residue. Wonder if this is like pine or I don't know. I'm not gonna try to act like I know all the different types of wood and their attributes, but I do know it's definitely a harder wood. So I'm cleaning off any residue from this blade with 91% alcohol and a microfiber, just so that doesn't have an effect on it going through the phone book paper. And I will also I will also mention that the angle of the edge that I have on this is a lower angle than would typically be recommended for hard use. However, this blade geometry should still offer some decent toughness even at this angle, because you have the material behind the edge to support it. And I have this sharpened at between 16 and 17 degrees per side, so nothing too insane, but it looks like it's a crazy low angle because of how thick the blade is. And now that I've wiped it off, I can see some very tiny chips and rolls, just a couple. So little bit disappointing. I was hoping not to have any of that yet, but more importantly, let's see if it cuts still, because that is the, what's really important is how this, the usefulness of this edge holds up to these tasks. I have a fresh piece of phone book paper. Little snag. It's not doing bad. Yeah, very minimal hang-ups. Not bad at all. Let me go ahead and make a pass or two on the strap. When I say pass or two, it could end up being 2 passes, or it could end up being 20. So, for those of you who like to get all technical and stuff. By the way, this is 3 micron gunny juice on Kangaroo. This is a Sydney STROP strop, which was gifted to me by Mike Kent over at River's Edge Cutlery. Before they started carrying this brand of strops, he reached out to me and asked if I'd be interested in testing their this company's strops out to see if I was honored that he was interested in my opinion of these strops before he decided to carry them, and my feedback on it was very positive. And now they carry these this Sydney STROP brand strops, so thought that was pretty cool. All right, go ahead and try out one more piece of phone book, or this one still has plenty of room left. So let's see. Right in the middle there, which is probably where I was whacking it the hardest. Has a little bit of hesitation. Right there, it went straight past it, no hang-ups. Very good. Damn it. I apologize. I wanted to show you guys the chips before I tried to strop them out. So I will zoom in and see if I can find the chips or rolls, or if they are completely gone. Hopefully they're not completely gone so you guys can see it. But if they are, I guess that's also a good thing. So you can see towards the center right there, there's two, I don't know if you want to call those rolls or chips. Then there was some other smaller ones that appear to have been worked out. Come on, focus, please. So nothing too substantial, but definitely noteworthy. They were worse before I stropped. After stropping, it mostly got rid of them, but not completely, as you can see, but still cutting very well. Now, I will say from the factory, this is not a slicing knife at all. I had to reprofile it to a much lower angle than the factory edge. The factory edge was actually quite high. Not sure the exact angle, I don't remember. But right now I only have it at maybe 16 or 17 degrees per side, and the edge bevel is as large as, say, 15 degrees per side or 14 degrees per side on a Spyderco. So it is thicker behind the edge. It's not super thick at the spine, but it carries that thickness down about a quarter of the way, and then you only have 3/4 of this blade height for it to taper down, which doesn't leave you with a lot of distance for it to taper down to get thin behind the edge, especially with it being like a flat grind instead of a hollow. If they would have done a hollow grind, like a really deep hollow grind, like the Spyderco Yojimbo, this thing could have been a slicing beast or a cutting beast. However, that would have taken away a lot of the toughness, and Demko is kind of known for their tough, overbuilt knives, especially considering that, you know, John and Andrew Demko came from, you know, the cold steel era of the super overbuilt, super tough knives. So that's kind of in their DNA. But with a little bit of sharpening, you can greatly improve the cutting performance of it. It's sharpened up really well. And I also have a AUS 10A, AUS 10A blade, which is their baseline blade steel, and that also sharpened up excellent. I actually did a full review on that one already. Haven't done the review on the 3V yet, so that's why we are here today. But the ALS 10A did surprisingly well. And I'm still kind of judging, experimenting, using this, testing, judging how well this 3V holds up. I have not used it enough to give a very certain opinion on it, so I'll reserve that for a later time. But so far I haven't had any issues. Nothing pointing to any signs of a problem. I'll just say it's not the most slicey knife, but as far as the 3V goes, let's see, it still feels pretty sticky, which is a good thing. I don't have a ton of experience with 3V, but this is just my hypothesis that this steel is going to be one that keeps a working edge for a long time, but does not keep a fine edge for a long time, like a super sharp fine edge like your K390 or your 15V, or even Crewwear, or S90V does pretty good too. But like 15V and K390 would be the best examples I could give of one of the steels that keep the super fine, super sticky, like hair whittling sharpness the longest. But 3V is a steel that's aimed more towards toughness, so you're going to have better resistance to chipping. It's probably a little bit soft, it could be on the softer side, which will make it, easy to sharpen, not as easy to deburr, and it's gonna take a very sharp edge if you know what you're doing, but it is gonna lose that level of sharpness that I find very satisfying, that I like keeping my edges at. It's not going to be super easy to keep it at that sharpness, I don't think. But that doesn't mean that it's a bad steel or that it's not going to be usable for a reasonable amount of time. A working edge and a fine edge, like super sharpness, is two different things, and both have a place. A working edge is important to the majority of the knife users out there. Majority of people aren't super sharpeners like, myself or other, knife enthusiasts that have gone crazy into sharpening. There's a lot of people out there that know how to do a basic sharpening, and that's good enough to keep them going. And the majority of the time, majority of their use on their knives is going to be cutting with a working edge, because that's the portion of the edge that lasts the longest. And if they're not sharpening it or stropping and maintaining it, then, that's majority of those people are going to have a working edge sharpness level knife. So as long as it maintains a good enough working edge that it can sustain for a decent amount of time, then I wouldn't call it a bad steel. It just isn't something that particularly impresses me in any major way, because I'm never going to use this knife as a pry bar or a hammer or a screwdriver or batoning or whatever. I mean, it's like a medium large size folding knife, just barely full size. This isn't what I have in mind for something I would use super hard. Now, can it handle it? Possibly, but realistically, I'm just not going to use it in that way to where I'm going to really reap any of the benefits from that extra toughness from this 3V blade steel. And where I would what I would find much more beneficial for me personally would be the longer fine edge holding, edge retention capabilities over the extra toughness. But as you can see right here, it is cutting nicely. It's not, you know, it's not, oh, how do I put this? It is, it's not a slouch, but it's just not, it's not anything that, well, to be fair, I've experienced 15B. I've had a lot of experience with this, you know, at this point in time, and K390 and MAXAMET and all the other steels that are really hard to top. So once you've experienced that, it takes a pretty insane level of performance to impress you. So I guess you could say there's a little bit of biasy there. I try to be as unbiased as possible. That's why I broke down my judgment and feelings of it, because I'm not trying to judge it hardly or harshly, because it's doing good. But just don't expect to be amazed if you already have knives and steels like MAXAMET or K390 or 15V, unless you are simply buying this for the toughness aspect and you want a fidgety pocket pry bar or something like that. You know, just, I'm not telling you you shouldn't get it. I'm trying to prevent you from expecting something that's unrealistic and then being disappointed. So, you know, I always do my best to give it to you guys straight and as break it down as comprehensible and honest and fair as I possibly can. Save some cardboard for another knife, but yeah, she didn't do too bad. I don't have any hair left on my arms because I tested it on all that hair. So it is still shaving, but it's not shaving all the hair in one swipe without pulling on the hair. So definitely just within that, sorry, I'm touching the mic. It was tickled me. Forgot it was there. But just with that little amount of cutting, there's a very noticeable difference in the fine edge sharpness. So something to keep in mind. All right, guys, so I think that's going to wrap it up for the Demko AD20.5 CPM 3V review. I have a previous full review of the Demko AD20.5, which you can find in my knife review playlist. That's going to have a more traditional or standard review format and have all the other information that you might be interested in. All my opinions on the other aspects of the knife, but this video was specifically geared towards how well of a job Demko did with their CPM 3V and whether, you know, I could tell any substantial benefit compared to the standard AUS 10A version. And, you know, I certainly was not disappointed with the performance, but it's nothing that necessarily blows my socks off. I try to be as fair and unbiased as possible, but you know, just my honest experience with it so far. I'm curious to hear your guys' thoughts and opinions and what your experiences might have been. And, hope you guys enjoyed this one. Hope you possibly learned something. And if you did enjoy it or learn anything, please leave me a thumbs up and make sure you're subscribed to the channel. I greatly appreciate it. And thank you all for being here. I love you guys. Jesus loves you. Stay tuned, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.